as we wrap up, if more American bombs drop, what will be the reaction? Despite the fact that Nigeria still provides intelligence, government provides intelligence. In one sentence, if more American bombs drop, what will be the reaction?
In one sentence, please.
But everybody will be happy if the Americans and the other Western powers provide not only intelligence but also material help to assist the Nigerian security agencies and government to fight terrorism and insecurity all over the country. That's what we have been praying for a very long time.
Arise News analyst Mahmud Jega has raised critical security concerns following a bomb incident in Sokoto State, noting that bandit and terrorist activities are typically concentrated in the northeastern part of the state, not the southeast where the explosion reportedly occurred. According to Jega, the unusual location of the attack raises important questions about security intelligence, movement of armed groups, and possible expansion of threats into new areas.
Of the birthday of our chief of defense, of our Minister of Defense now, he used to be CDS, Christopher Musa. He came bomb ablazing in the northwest part of Nigeria, in Sokoto to be specific. Now, what's your assessment of this, particularly Nigerian government and the US government saying this was done, in collaboration with the Nigerian government in faithful obedience of the principles of sovereignty and international law?
Okay, this is a very, very serious development, obviously, of American bombs falling over Nigerian territory. It will be discussed not only in Nigeria, but all over Africa. People will be discussing the implications. Every peace-loving Nigerian, and that is most of us, would like to see the terrorists and the bandits and the insurgents and all the other criminals wiped out. And since around 2009, with the beginning of the Boko Haram crisis, we had been appealing to the Western powers and the other international powers for help in order to defeat this problem. And they had been resisting, giving all kinds of reasons about human rights and all that. But in the last 2 months or so, President Donald Trump in particular had been threatening to carry out these attacks, which he has finally done. And there are several issues around that, beginning with the sovereignty issue. But of course, the Nigerian government has said that it cooperated. Okay, so at least that partially addresses the issue of sovereignty. But then there are other issues, like the choice of targets was also curious, because if you say the attack was directed at ISIS, one would have thought that the part where the bombs dropped, southeastern Sokoto State, is the relatively safe part of Sokoto State, and that in Sokoto State too, it is the northeastern part adjoining Zamfara State where the bandits and terrorists are most active, right into Zamfara State and the western part of Kebbi State. And also, it is in the northeast specifically that we have the ISWAP, which is openly paying allegiance to ISIS, as well as the Boko Haram. Boko Haram does not pay allegiance to ISIS, but they have the same modus operandi, and they are the worst of the terrorist groups that we have, because if you remember, only 2 days ago on Wednesday evening, Boko Haram exploded a bomb in a crowded mosque after prayers in Maiduguri, and they killed several people and injured dozens of others. So one would have thought that if the Nigerian government assisted in the choice of targets, they should have directed it towards the deadliest of the terrorist groups, which is around the Sambisa Forest and the Mandara Mountains adjoining Cameroon and Chad, and also the Lake Chad small islets in the Lake Chad Basin, which is exactly where ISWAP is located. But of course, the bandits and the terrorists in the northwest are also very deadly, and they also ransack villages, abduct people, kill, and everything. So they are also legitimate targets, probably, although they shouldn't be the most important targets. Then there are other questions. For example, you know, President Donald Trump, his messaging complicates matters.
All right.
The Trump administration is not exactly famous for helping communities. It even creates problems where problems do not exist. Like in South Africa, you say that there is genocide against white South Africans and you want to save them. That kind of messaging creates problems even where it does not exist. Okay, while the U.S. Defense Department is saying that this attack is targeted at ISIS, President Trump himself posted on social media that he is protecting Christians in Nigeria, a view that the Nigerian government has tried very strenuously to debunk, so that he does not create or rather compound our religious problems here in Nigeria.
Mr. Jega, thank you so much. I need to come in here because of our time, but thank you for your opening statement. Just a few things you said around the choice of location. I don't know if you had the opportunity to hear the analysis this morning. Dr. Bati actually addressed that around intelligence gathering and how in some instances the state or the place of attack is not necessarily where the bandits or the terrorists operate from, where their cells are located. I don't know if you agree with that. Also, you say that you know where the terrorists and you identified some areas in the northeast. Do you have intelligence to support your assertion? Because this airstrike was said to have been done by statement from both parties based on weeks of intelligence gathering. Even on this platform, we talked about, air surveillance that had been taking place in the northern region. So I just want to ask that, from what intelligence gathering have you got in your source that the areas you've identified are the areas where the terrorists are? And then also with regards to the cells being different from where the terrorists actually operate. What's your take on that?
You see, I don't have any intelligence. I don't have any intelligence agency. But for the last 20 years, since the explosion of the terrorist problem in Nigeria, anybody knows that its central locus is in the northeast. That's where the camps are. That's where the terrorists come out in large numbers with huge arms, and they even overrun military bases. And since last night, rather, when this attack took place, I am essentially from Sokoto State, and I have spoken to many people, and they also expressed surprise. The people in that locality, in Shagari local government, when they had explosions, they even thought it was a comet or some other extraterrestrial matter that fell, because as far as they are concerned, their area is relatively safe. But of course, as you said, the intelligence people may have better information. However, as far as we can see, the biggest terrorist camps are around Lake Chad and the Mandara Mountains and in the northeast. And that one is not speculation, because in the last 20 years, we have seen how they launch major attacks, even overrun military bases and confiscate arms. And even 2 days ago, they carried out a terrible terrorist outrage in a mosque in Maiduguri. So it is not speculation if we say this is the area that we think. But of course, if the intelligence agencies, with the help of Nigerian intelligence, think they have got better information, that is fine. Let them act on it.
Okay. Two things. How will this affect Tinubu in 2027? I want to get your read of this. Politically, religious-wise, and in terms of narrative in the North, how will this affect Tinubu 2027? Because from what I've seen now is there's an isolation. Nigeria provided intelligence, America carried out the strike, but I can see from your words that you're not happy that it was even America in the first place. That's first one. Secondly, I want to ask, what would be the reaction from core people out in the North if these strikes from America continue to be able to get rid of these bandits? But the first question, how will this affect Tinubu in 2027?
No, You see, it is not America as such. After all, for many years since the start of the Boko Haram problem, successive Nigerian governments had been appealing to the Western powers for help with weapons and the intelligence and support. And even in specific cases like during the abduction of the Chibok girls and all that, we had been appealing if they can help us to retrieve the girls and combat the terrorists. That's what we have been doing. It is the Trump administration and its communication method that is suspect. In particular, it is clear that President Trump evidently plays to his domestic political base for support in his communication and in his actions, which is why he encircles countries like Venezuela, bombing boats left, right, and center in the Pacific and in the Caribbean, even despite opposition from his own congressmen and many of his own countrymen. So you have to worry about the motives of an administration like that. And you know, Americans have caused problems where they did things against the advice of the African Union, like in Libya, which in the end is even the source of all the arms that flew into came into the Sahel and created most of the problems that we have right now, and also compounded the problem in Somalia and in Sudan. So that is our concern.
Mr. Jega, you just made my point. You just made my point for me, because if it was a Nigeria bomb that dropped on the ground, you have no problems. But as long as it's an American bomb, there's a problem with it. That's it. And I get that narrative. Secondly, how will this affect Tinubu in 2027? And if more American bombs drop in Sokoto and even in Borno and other parts, what would be the reaction from you or people from the north, as long as it's American bombs dropping?
No, I don't think many people will blame the Tinubu administration for what is happening now, because President Donald Trump, when he first made the threats, it was clearly not in coordination with the Tinubu administration or the government of Nigeria, because the Nigerian presidency immediately pushed back and said, your understanding of the situation is not correct, that it is true we have a terrorism and banditry problem and serious insecurity problem in Nigeria, but it is not an interreligious war or a genocide against one religious community as you are pushing. So the Tinubu administration did very well in pushing back on the misguided narrative by the Trump administration. And then they sent all these delegations to the US to negotiate. Of course, those are confidential conversations. We don't know exactly what was said or what was agreed, but probably we are beginning to see the result now. So I don't think anybody will say it is the fault of the Tinubu administration that they have brought the American bombs dropping in the country. I don't think so. And for now, I don't think it will have a serious effect on 2027 calculations, but we will see if the situation gets out of hand in the weeks and months.
So if more strikes happen, what will be the reaction? More American bombs. Quickly, sir, as we wrap up. If more American bombs drop, what will be the reaction? Despite the fact that Nigeria still provides intelligence, government provides intelligence. In one sentence, if more American bombs drop, what will be the reaction?
In one sentence, please.
But everybody will be happy if the Americans and the other Western powers provide not only intelligence but also material help to assist the Nigerian security agencies and government to fight terrorism and insecurity all over the country. That's what we have been praying for a very long time.
Well, thank you. That's on that note. So thank you very much for your time with us, Mr.
News. Your fast, reliable, and simplified source for Nigerian news updates.